Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back on with another video. I want to talk about Julianna Pena a little bit. As y'all know, Julianna Pena, she was on Joe Rogan's podcast like a week ago or so. I just caught a few of the segments of it. And I've got to say shout out to Julianna Pena because she's dealing with a lot whenever it comes down to this big win that she scored, about a month or two ago now. And yeah, like everybody's still thinking this fight is a fluke. Which Julianna Pena, she addressed in this, interview with Joe Rogan. Like, I didn't watch the whole interview, but, she talked about a few different things, like, of course, her career. She broke down this fight and her mentality going into this fight and how people think this fight is a fluke. And first off, I just got to say that, the fight wasn't a fluke. Julianna Pena just had the style and she caught Amanda Nunes at the right time. And that's on Amanda. That's really on Amanda Nunes. There's no excuses. It just comes down to the performance of Julianna Pena. You got to give her full credit, because there's still a lot of Amanda Nunes fans that continue to say this fight was a fluke, of course. Then there's other fighters out there that say, oh, she couldn't do this again and she couldn't do this again and again. No, there's only one time out of 10 times. I'm like, okay, you can have your opinion, but understand that Julianna Pena is a fighter. Like, she is a talented fighter. She has skills, and the skills that she have just tend to upset and disrupt what Amanda Nunes can do. This is a whole different other video, though. I'm going to break that down again to y'all because it's just styles in general that y'all need to know about the game of fighting. Like, certain fighters just have styles that can disrupt no matter how good you are, a GOAT or just your average champion. All right. But in this video, I just want to talk about another particular fighter that continues to downplay Julianna Pena and just WMMA as a whole, Khabib. As y'all know, Khabib, he gave his opinion a little while back about the performance and about Julianna Pena. Of course, he said it was a fluke, and Julianna Pena, she responded in this interview, said she was a little bit heartbroken, and, she went in on some other things, which I'll pull up on this interview here on MMAnews.com. And then, of course, I'm going to give you my thoughts on Khabib and what he said. I've already done that before, but just about this fight here. So MMAnews.com, let's see. This is what Khabib said. Forgive me if I'm reading this. It's kind of broken English here on how they wrote the text out. It says, I am like, we can watch what Julianna Pena did with Amanda Nunes at UFC 269, but Julianna Pena, she is not like the greatest or something like that. She just beat Amanda Nunes like on that day. We can watch not many good female fighters around the world. We cannot watch many good maybe he's saying there's not many good female fighters around the world. Yeah, I guess that's what he's saying. There's not many good female fighters around the world. There are only like 5 or 6 of them, Khabib said. So first right there, I have to disagree with him, man. Like, if you only feel that WMMA has so many good fighters and you just feel like they're not that good, just keep that opinion to yourself. I've said that before. I already know how he feels because of his religion and everything, but there's certain things you just don't say, and certain things that you have to keep to yourself, like your opinions in this situation here, because what he feels is not how everybody else feels. And your word is not golden, Khabib. Like, yeah, I give him a lot of respect for being dedicated to his religion and just some of his approaches on different things, political wise. But whenever it comes down to the women in the game, they work just as hard. Side by side, they work just as hard. I know there's still a difference between men and women, yes, the fight game, but WMMA has evolved from where it started, and it's still growing. Of course, it's still growing, but as of right now, there's still a lot of fighters out there that work side by side with these men in the gym. They hold it down, they go through the fire as well, and on their level with other women, they perform to their highest potential. So for him to say, like, Julianna Pena's fight was just what it was and she's not the greatest, okay, I agree with her not being the greatest, but what she did was still a great moment for her. What she did on her level was just as good as what he did to a McGregor as far as the world of WMMA. Now, I know that was a bigger level because they're popular, but this was just as a bigger win because Amanda's considered the GOAT, right? Amanda's considered a GOAT in her way, and this is where she performs. Like, she can't fight Conor McGregor, so she has to fight the women, right? Because that's how it should be. So on their platform, this is still something big that a lot of people respect and can get behind, So for Julianna Pena to do what she did, that's a great moment. Yeah, she's not the greatest, but this is part of her path to greatness. So don't downplay that. And that's straight up to Khabib. Don't downplay that or try to shut a person's moment down. This is not a fluke. She did that. She did what she was supposed to do. She worked hard. She went through the fire just like you do in your fights, you know? And that's what I'm glad that she addressed that, because it definitely solidifies what I said about her a few weeks ago in my video whenever I broke down the styles of Shevchenko, Pena, and Nunes. She solidified what I said about her as a fighter that likes to go into the fire, fight you toe-to-toe, break you down, and, you know, get a little reckless because she wants to put on a show. She pretty much said it word for word, like I said in this interview about her as a fighter. So I know these fighters, you know, I know what they go through as far as, you know, just their attitude and the ones that want it. So for him he should know that as well, because he's in the fight game. So just because they're women doesn't mean that their victories are any less or lesser than a man's, you know. That's why I just get tired of even him saying like, oh, there's only 5 or 6 great women or 5 or 6 good women. No, there's divisions full of very talented women that work just as hard, you know. So that's my opinion to what he said. I got to address that again. But this is what Julianna Pena actually said on the Joe Rogan podcast. She said, I saw in the presser that they asked Khabib a question, and he was just completely downgrading the whole win and everything like that. It totally broke my heart. I was like, dude, you're breaking my heart, man. Like, I freaking love you. Like, seriously. That's what she said. You know, whenever she heard that interview, she was like, wow, he's really downgrading her performance, you know. And what else did she say? She said, he must be friends with Kayla Harrison or something. I don't know, because he was like, if this is the top of the women's division, it's a joke. I mean, it wasn't very nice. I didn't appreciate it, Khabib. So she let him know I didn't appreciate it, Khabib, on what he said. It kind of broke her heart. So I can understand how she felt, you know, because she feels like, you know, there's a brotherhood or, you know, sisterhood. You know, they should all have that kind of unspoken that unspoken rule where everybody respects everybody's hard work. You know what I mean? I think that's how it would be, you know, if I was in it as well. Like, if I see women like Valentina putting the work in, or, you know, everybody, not even Valentina, but just some other fighters like a Jennifer Maya or, you know, Yan Zhao, anybody. Like, if I'm in there and I know the work and the pressure that they're going through, having to deal with the media, fans, weight cuts and everything like that, the same as me, you're a woman, but you're dealing with the same things as me, you know, getting into the octagon and putting your life on the line. There's that unspoken bond there that I can respect that. So for him to say that in a presser, I just think that was very unprofessional of him, you know, very immature to say, oh man, like, it wasn't good because it was women. You know, that almost sound like, you know, kids growing up back in school, like, oh man, like, oh, they can't do it like us. Or like, yes, they can, you know, it's on a woman's level, but it's still just as entertaining and it's still groundbreaking for them, you know. So I can understand why she felt a bit heartbroken in that moment, you know, because she's thinking that, oh man, like, these other champions, I'm amongst them. You know, that's how she's seeing it. Like, he probably, you know, in the beginning, she was probably, oh, he respects me because, you know, I put in this hard work, or he respects me like a John Jones or these other fighters. But when he goes on a big platform, knowing he's more popular than her, you know, and he goes out and says that she didn't prove anything or that she's a fluke, you know, that is kind of heartbreaking, because it's like he's singling her out. So I can understand how she felt about that. But from here, it's like, hey, just do you. You know, for Julianna Pena, I don't think that's really going to affect her. You know, it's definitely not affected, because she's always been one to kind of have the spotlight on her, put her in that way where people kind of tore her down. Even like way back in the Tough House, you know, people were kind of always against her because of her confident demeanor, you know. And like I said, sometimes she could kind of go out there, you know, I'd be like, oh man, like, technical wise, like when I see her perform, she would upset me a little bit, because I knew she could be better and she would get reckless and throw away a win like against Shevchenko. So there were moments in there where I was like, okay, your words are, your actions aren't catching up with your words. You know, that's how I would see it, just as constructive criticism. Like, there was a time where I was like, all right, you're doing a lot of talking, but you ain't backing it up, right? But over the past few weeks, whenever she talked herself into a championship, I was like, okay, I respect that. You know, she bounced back from a GDR loss, got a win. Then, you know, she just kept on staying on her. Of course, I felt like Nunes was going to win, but, you know, I had to give Pena a lot of respect for talking herself into the fight and going into the fire, you know. So, I just can't say, oh, like, this is a fluke. You know, I can't do that. I can't downplay that, you know, and I don't think it's very professional of somebody like Khabib on his level, you know, for him to say somebody that just won the strap, their win is not that good, or like it's a joke. Like she said, you know, if he said if this is the top of the women's division, this is a joke. How is that a joke? How is that a joke? Like, Julianna Pena's been training for years. You know, she's been a wrestler for years. She's been working on her striking for years. Like, how is that? How is this a joke when Julianna Pena came in there and performed and had the style to beat Amanda Nunes, right? I just don't understand that, how he can say it's a joke. That makes no sense. Like, there have been fights in the past where you go, okay, that's boring or that's dry. But somebody like Pena has been in the game for a minute, you know, and she put it all on the line. Like, I can't stress that enough. She put it all on the line. Like, she beat the GOAT at this moment. So how is that a joke? Like, how is that a joke of a division? Somebody to come back like that and just do what Holly Holm couldn't do, or do what Miesha Tate couldn't do, or do what GDR couldn't do, right? So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I just had to come on here and talk about it a little bit. Like, Khabib, his whole, like I said, his whole view of WMMA, I don't, I don't, like, I respect a lot of other things he says, but, I don't respect anything he believes about WMMA, just on how he thinks that these women don't put in the work, or there's only like a few good fighters. Maybe he needs to take the time to watch them and actually respect them on that level when it comes to fighting, because, like I said, he should be thankful for the division, because it got me. He should be thankful for WMMA, because that's what got me into MMA. When I was looking at the men before, I always thought it was boring. Honestly, bottom line, I thought the sport was boring. I'm a boxing fan, so when I would see these men just lay and pray and just BS their way through fights in the beginning, I was like, I don't like this, right? But the more and more I kind of understood what it was, I appreciated it. And it was the women that got me into that. Like, the women at the time, they were actually doing more striking and, more Thai fighting. So, yeah, I am a striking fan. But even when I watched them grapple and wrestle, I took the time to learn it and understand it a little bit more so after watching them do it. So, hey, like, what he says, I pretty much throw that in the trash can as far as how he feels about WMA. I don't feel that way. I think they, like I said, they definitely have a place in combat sports, and it's going to keep growing. Like I said, I got a channel that talks about it, and there's going to be times where I just go in on particular fighters. And, some people might not like it, but you got to understand, like, this is a growing sport, and this is what I do with boxing. This is what a lot of people do with boxing. So this is how I talk about it. So, yeah, I always respect the women in WMMA and what they do, and I'm going to stay behind it. So, yeah, shout out to Julianna Pena. Final thoughts, though, like I said, some things she had talked about with the Amanda Nunes fight. She pretty much hit it spot on, man. Like, she really did, on her performance and what type of fighter she is. And I think I hit it spot on, like, just describing her attitude as a fighter, because not many women bring it like her, that bully the bully mentality. And I think it's going to be an issue in the rematch. I think it will, just the way she's, mentally built. I don't know if Nunes can handle that. Like, there's just some mental toughness about Julianna Pena that makes it tougher. Like, I was leaning towards Nunes again in the rematch as far as technical skills and what she could do, but somebody that has this type of mental strength, it's hard to break them, because right now she got a spotlight on her from everybody. I mean, who was targeting Pena? Everybody was targeting Pena. I mean, Kayla Harrison, now Khabib, and just the whole MMA world that wanted to downplay her performance, right? But yeah, man, I'll talk a little bit more about it on my podcast episode coming up. I just wanted to drop this video because I had a little downtime, and I was reading this interview, and I was like, oh boy, like, Khabib, man, you really upsetting some people with your thoughts here. I think this is just something you got to keep to yourself, because the sport of WMMA is growing, whether you like it or not. Combo Breaker 99. Let me know what y'all think. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.